Officials had to call in the Air Force this morning to help salvage the election. Helicopters will be used to distribute millions of new ballots to polling stations that ran out within hours of the polls opening. The number of people attempting to vote overwhelmed election officials, and police had to be called in to restore order. There was a shortage of ink, ballot boxes, and polling stations. A national holiday was declared today so officials could sort out all the problems and keep the election moving forward.
At the end of the day, we will be able to solve them in such a way that the elections will be pronounced to have been free and fair.
The government has spared no expense. It even trucked in a tribe from the bush so they could cast their ballots. Captured bombs and bullets were put on display by police, who announced the arrest of 31 people in connection with a bombing campaign to derail the election.
Furniture has come out as a result of 17 years in the design industry. I'm an interior designer, and it's really sparked a passion and an interest, and it's been an exciting year for me.
I think at this point we're talking about a pilot program of about 50 employees that the company is talking about, and then ramping up over a period of about a year to 15 months. And again, it gives us a chance to train those individuals and bring them in at the level of skill that the employer is looking for.
Mind about it. I'm not favoring a strike, but then again, if it has to be, then I'll vote for it.
Marv Austin is one of 900 union members who voted unanimously to authorize a strike. The 56-year-old shovel operator works for LTV Steel in Hoyt Lakes and is a member of the United Steel Workers of America. Austin says regardless of today's vote, most of the membership is opposed to a strike.
I don't think the people themselves really want to strike. Sometimes they vote for it because they feel they got more strength that way.
Are you willing to go on strike again?
Yes, I am.
For how long?
Whatever it takes.
Paul Takotz is a 28-year veteran at LTV Steel. He's been on strike before, and he says he'll do it again.
Hey, we helped them out all these years when they were in bankruptcy, that now it's time for them to give a little.
Corporate policy prevented local LTV personnel from interviews. Their spokesperson is attending the ongoing negotiations. The union says cooperation is the major stumbling block.
When they go into meetings, instead of negotiating the contract, the company wants to negotiate their issues, what they want, instead of settling the contract.
The union has just announced that the rank and file passed the strike authorization vote. Now that the negotiation committee is empowered to call a strike on June 1st, the day the current contract expires. Reporting from Hoyt Lakes, Chip Wallace, News 6.
You've got drinking and driving, and at any age, that's not good. Essentially, we want to stop the deaths and the injuries that occur at such gatherings.
The gathering Sheriff's Deputy Art Winkleman is talking about are pit parties. Parties usually held in rural areas near gravel pits. Officials say the makeup of these popular parties can be deadly. Teenagers, alcohol, and driving.
We just had one on Friday night, as a matter of fact. 6 people were injured, and it all started at a small pit party. Altercation started there, and they decided to leave, and it just deteriorated into an accident where 6 people were seriously hurt.
It was this latest accident that prompted officials to increase patrol staffing. A new law now gives officers the right to arrest people under the age of 21 if they have consumed any amount of alcohol.
We know we're not going to stop the juveniles from drinking entirely, but we don't want them to drive on the roadway, and when they go into the gravel pits, they eventually have to get home.
I think she set a good example for women, both in raising their families. She never let that up, but also in her professional life. I think she combined the two very well with pride and dignity, and she was a beautiful woman.
Her strength and courage and quietness and support.
Yeah, she went through a lot of grief. I mean, she had her troubled times and her good times. So.
I really can hardly explain, understand that she did a real beautiful job as a mother and the First Lady.
At this point, until we get final ratification by both, the details at this point about the actual...
We made a vow to the taxpayers last year that if they approved that, we would use it for fund balance and to pay off our debt, and that commitment stands today.
But I think I'm an eternal optimist, and I'm sure that it's going to be here in Hibbing.
The city of Hibbing believes it has the most to offer Northwest Airlines for their new reservation center. They also believe they shouldn't have to be competing with their neighbors. But competing they are, and today city officials showed off the proposal that was submitted by Hibbing to the IRRB.
There is absolutely no reason in the world why this won't be seen as the best presentation that Northwest will get.
The highlights of the Hibbing plan include over $4 million in incentives. They also have a licensed child care center under construction. They have 5 sites to choose from and boast over 180 miles within the city limits for future growth. If Hibbing isn't selected, residents will not be happy. Legal action was even discussed at a community press conference this morning.
Personally, I guess I think it's the IRRB.
That's who many people think was behind the plan to open up the competition for the reservation center. Bob Benner of the IRRB told us today, that's right, they did.
The fact is, there was no commitment made to place the reservation center in Hibbing. The reservation center may well be in Hibbing. But the point is, that decision really needs to be made by Northwest Airlines on the basis of where they think the facility would be best positioned.
The IRRB delivered all 5 proposals this morning to Northwest in the Twin Cities. They expect an answer from Northwest as to where they will locate their reservation center within the next 2 weeks. On the Iron Range, Ted Rowlands, News 6.
The picture landed on the president's desk like a triple bogey. It showed 2 White House aides getting on the president's personal helicopter after a round of golf at a nearby Maryland country club. The club pros said they were checking out the course for the president.
They played 18 holes of golf when they were here, somewhere between 3.5 4 hours.
But White House officials say President Clinton had no plans to play there and could not explain why the aides would use the chopper, which costs $2,380 an hour to operate. Republicans teed off on what looked like the ultimate perk.
What a ridiculous waste of taxpayers' money. What an arrogant abuse of power.
And angry President Clinton announced that one aide has been reassigned, the other, David Watkins, resigned.
I was very upset about it when I heard about it. Mr. Watkins has resigned, and the taxpayers will be fully reimbursed.
Watkins is an Arkansas friend of Bill and Hillary Clinton. In the 1980s, he got Mrs. Clinton into a cell phone deal that earned her $46,000 on a $2,000 investment. And last year, he was reprimanded for his role in the White House travel office scandal. The White House is still trying to figure out just how much the helicopter golf trip cost and exactly who's going to pay for it. Jim Miklaszewski, NBC News, the White House.
It's a great event, and it's more for awareness of our project, and it's a health awareness, wellness. Just get out and enjoy the day, enjoy the lake walk, enjoy Fitkers. Take a look at the boat when you run past it.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen of the Allied Expeditionary Force, you are about to embark upon the Great Crusade.
They had been under Nazi domination for 4.5 years, and then they were freed. And we were the angels from heaven who freed them.
You were so scared you became brave.
And then all of a sudden the latch of the door came down. You ran on the beach. When you ran on the beach, and it was just mass destruction.
When I got to the top, I figured maybe I would live until the next day.
Everything turned on D-Day. It was the high point, the turning point of the war in Europe.
Order. Huh.
We all can see our hopes in his eyes when he rises for his people.
I'm wondering as we speak today why the issues didn't arise before now. Clearly our intentions were not a secret, our location was not a secret, and our plans have not been a secret, not from anyone.
Superior School Superintendent Ben Kennanen is upset, to say the least. Years of planning by the school district may be in jeopardy. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers says there are possible problems with the planned replacement for Bryant Elementary School and the new East End School. The problems involve construction on what may be wetlands.
That's taken us by surprise, as you know, because prior to this, all of our indications from city officials and really from available mappings and other information have indicated exactly the opposite.
While construction is continuing at Bryant School, school officials are awaiting rulings from environmental agencies before moving ahead with East End School, rulings both the DNR and the Army Corps of Engineers say are vital.
There are cumulative losses to be looked at here too. So although Superior has 25% of their acreage as wetland, we're worried about cumulative losses also. A little fill here and a little fill there, and then we've got a big cumulative impact.
The struggle between preserving and using the environment is not new to the Superior area. Memories of the plague construction of Walmart are fresh. After developers filled a wetland, federal agencies blocked the project until they could work out a plan for replacement wetlands. It took time and money, something Superior School officials say they don't have.
One of our problems is that we need to keep the projects on schedule because we have students that we need to serve. We also need to keep the projects on schedule so that we avoid additional costs that don't really produce more building, that just mean more costs.
From the time we got the report until it was actually clamped off was 33 minutes, which is real good timing. Very proud of our people as quickly as they responded.
Remain confident in my leadership. When I took over the sheriff's position in 1991, my office was bare of any evidence of programs that had been implemented to help the citizens of Douglas County. I literally had to start from scratch.
I did not look up until well after I was here. You know, I was...
Police aren't sure why a Superior man pulled his 9mm gun this afternoon at a Hawthorne bar. They do know the man he was sitting with is dead. Douglas County Sheriff officials say before 5, a call came in of a shooting at the Roadhouse Tavern on U.S. Highway 53 and County Road B.
Yet we did have a shooting in the bar. Apparently there was no fight or argument prior to the shooting.
The suspect claims the two were best of friends and the shooting an accident. Witnesses at the bar say they saw nothing unusual prior to the shooting and were stunned when the shot rang out. Numerous police agencies responded to the scene. The victim, a man from out of state, was airlifted to St. Mary's Hospital.
It was a handgun, semi-automatic handgun apparently. Appeared that the victim was hit somewhere in the upper chest.
The suspect is being held at Douglas County Jail on charges of reckless use of a firearm. But officials say now that the victim has died, those charges are likely to change. In Douglas County, Chip Wallace, News 6. For 250 years, the Peace Bell rang as a famous landmark in Ohara, Japan. During World War II, it was found in a shipyard by U.S. troops and brought to Duluth in 1945. 10 years later, former Mayor George Johnson gave it back to Japan as a symbol of goodwill. Today, a replica of the Peace Bell now resides in Inger Park. Both mayors Yoshihito Saito of Ohara and Gary Doty dedicated the bell. Saito was very moved by the ceremony.
He's just feeling very overwhelmed with the friendship that has been symbolized by the bell and how that it ties a very strong bond between Duluth and Ohara.
The gift from the Far East was donated by the people of Ohara as a part of the sister city relationship with Duluth. It is also a symbol of world peace. In Duluth, Chip Wallace, News 6.
From November 1943 until the 5th of June 1944, the 2nd Ranger Battalion trained in England for Operation Overlord, the invasion of Normandy. 2,000 men were asked to train for the Rangers, only 500 were selected. Gerald Haney, then a 26-year-old second lieutenant, was one of them.
I guess I thought more about D-Day in the last week than I thought about it in the last 50 years.
The 2nd Ranger Battalion found out June 5th where it would land the next morning, Omaha Beach.
We got up at daybreak, and you looked out, and all you could see was ships everywhere for as far as the eye could see. And it was still rough that morning. Everything that could go wrong went wrong.
American bombers had missed their targets by more than a mile, and Allied barges loaded with rockets began firing with shells falling just 100 yards in front of the American landing craft. As Haney and his troops prepared to hit the beach, the Germans were ready with mines, snipers, machine gun, artillery, and rocket fire.
Down goes the ramp, and I'm in the front of the boat on the left side, and my best friend, Captain Joe Rafferty, is on the front on the right side. Well, he's the first one out of the boat, and he's killed as he goes out of the boat.
Fatigued from fighting rough seas chest high, Haney and the Rangers hit the beach and collapsed. The Germans give them little chance to rest.
No sooner were we down than the mortars and the artillery shells started to bracket the beach.
This is what Haney and the 2nd Rangers faced at Omaha Beach, but it's what they trained for, and when duty called, the Rangers scaled these cliffs and attacked the waiting German positions. Through their grim determination and extraordinary heroism, the 2nd Rangers reached and destroyed the large enemy coastal guns, which could have killed tens of thousands of soldiers and destroyed thousands of ships. At 8 o'clock that night, the Americans found themselves short of ammunition and weapons. Jerry Haney took 5 men and went back to a bloody Omaha Beach.
The beach was still just covered with men who had been killed during the course of the day. That sight certainly has remained with me until today. It may sound strange to say, but on that day I was not afraid. But thereafter, every time we were in combat, I was afraid. But on that first day, I can't explain it, but I wasn't.
Jerry Haney and 70 of the surviving members of 2nd Ranger Battalion have spent the past 5 days in Normandy, France. Days filled with parades, a recreation of their landing at Omaha Beach and Pointe du Hoc, and prayers for the members of the Rangers who died on that longest day. Today at Omaha Beach, Jerry Haney got a chance to speak briefly with President Clinton as he honored the Rangers for their gallantry and heroism. The reunited Rangers, who began their odyssey 50 years ago, know this may be the last time most of them will ever be together. They'll take with them the words of the President, who said on bloody Omaha Beach, "These young men saved the world."
In all, it could be summed up that the opportunities for the superiority area is stability in jobs and stability in the workforce.
Rollerblades is just one brand of inline skates. They're everywhere now, from the coast of California to New York's Central Park to Rock Creek Park in Washington. Inline skates are fast and fun, but sometimes hard to control.
I mean, it's really dangerous. I mean, you pick up speed. I was going really fast and I couldn't stop, so I bumped into a guy.
That's the big problem. It's hard to stop.
Oh my God. Are you all right? Julie, are you all right? Yes.
But today, the government warned that too many inline skaters are not all right.
This sport is dangerous, and the injuries are serious.
Bone fractures are up from 8,000 in '93 to an estimated 23,000 this year. Head injuries up from 2,000 to 7,000. Injury accidents overall up from 37 to 83,000. Children under 15 will suffer most of those accidents, so the government says kids should take the same precautions as adults. Never skate in traffic and never boogie, which is blade speak for grabbing a moving car. Always wear elbow pads and knee pads and wrist protectors. And most important, wear a helmet. That way, even experienced bladers like Julie are ready when, let's see that crash again.
Oh my God. Are you all right? Julie, are you all right?
It's that time of year again. Bargain hunters from around the Northland have converged on Park Point for the 13th annual Park Point Garage Sale. Just under 200 families have hauled the junk out of their homes to sell to an eager army of shoppers.
Well, I love a bargain. I have to have something reasonable, and I love to buy clothes secondhand, and I can be the best dressed person in town on other people's clothes.
The big sale started today and will run through tomorrow. There's everything you'd expect to see at a garage sale: clothes, books, games, you name it, and everything at a more than reasonable price.
That's an oil painting by Neville, 1915.
How much you pay for it?
$2.
Hey, not a bad deal.
Yeah, good deal.
It's also a good deal for the merchants. Not only do they get to clean out their homes, but they make a little money while they do it.
We're not doing too bad since we're the first ones after you come over the bridge. It's usually stop here first and get your change and then move on.
If you look hard enough, you can find some really great deals. Look at this, a full stereo, only $5. There's got to be a catch. What's the deal with this? Does it work?
Well, most of it works. The tape player doesn't work.
Tape player doesn't work.
Nope, I jammed it.
I'll give you $2.
$2? 2.5.
Sold. On Park Point with a stereo I'll be selling at my next garage sale. Ted Rowlands, News 6.
If a Coast Guard boat were to board a recreational boater, he wouldn't ask about an anchor. He would ask to make sure that you have lights, navigation lights that are on. He would be interested in your numbers. In fact, the faulty numbers are probably one of the greatest faults that are found, where people have numbers that aren't of the proper size, that can't be read.
The Ford dealership in Duluth had one of its new car storage areas broken into on the morning of Friday, June 3rd. Thieves pried up the fence near Garfield and Commerce Street to get into the lot. They hid between the rows of new trucks and jacked up 2 wall-duck pickups. They then used blocks which held up the trucks so they could remove the tires. The aluminum wheels they stole were unique to the 1994 trucks and will cost over $3,500 to replace. The thieves may try to sell these tires or use them on their own trucks. Crime Stoppers needs your help to solve this theft and get the tires back. We pay rewards for information on most crimes and never reveal who the caller is. We also pay rewards for recovered stolen goods and drugs. Call 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH.
reverse the hemorrhaging at UMD. As most of us know that a very stringent ethics bill this year, the rest of the university system, about $1,000 less per student than. And secondly, for the next session, I would like to propose that that we remove K through 12 funding from property taxes and base it all on the general fund. This would result in some property tax relief. Well, on those three items, I was the co-author of, in total, from tax to 20% of the spending limit. So that's a severe reduction in special interest influence in campaign finance.
My haircut.
Doesn't look like, yeah. Turn around. Shape up and we wouldn't have to be.
You probably wouldn't.
You get to be out without your
Family, with the family leave act, you can leave for a long time.
Only 12 weeks.
Go ahead.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you.
Same here.
It's Father's Day?
Yeah. Any messages?
Happy Father's Day, Dad. Good luck fishing.
You have a message for Dad?
Say I love you.
Say hi,
say,
Brooke.
Daddy, I love you. Come on. Say it. Say, Daddy, I love you. I love you.
Thank you. How about you guys? Brad?
Oh.
Something?
I love you, Dad. Happy Father's Day, Dad. I don't live with them.
Happy Father's Day!
What is really going on? We feel that this is just a way for Minnesota Power to get more money out of us in order to make up for getting less from the Taconites. We believe it is not justified to give the residential customers a bigger rate hike than anybody else.
There have been so many reports that even if 10% of these reports are true, we've got a very serious situation here in Duluth. And we need to deal with it. The way to do that, in my opinion, is to get this out in the open.
For the last 10 months, not many people thought this scene was possible. Union and steel negotiators together again after successfully agreeing to a tentative contract settlement. Over a year ago, long before national workers went on strike, Dennis Enroth and Emil Draskovic vowed to negotiate in good faith. Together again, they talked about the renewed spirit of cooperation, admitting there's still some work to be done.
I think the change in the company, the union, provided us with a mechanism to get together again. I can't say if it really had any effect, but the two different groups did get together and we were able to do what we did.
We still have some hurdles to cross, some hoops to jump through. We're going to be talking to all your major supply people, and we're organizing that campaign right now. And if that falls into place for us later on this year, there's a very good possibility that the plant would reopen.
Union and management now begin the push to get agreements from the Burlington Northern, Minnesota Power, and the state of Minnesota on cost reduction efforts and funding for improvements at the plant in Keewatin. Tomorrow, union members will hear the details of the tentative contract settlement, which is expected to call for fewer workers. But after 10 months without a job, approval of the new contract is not expected to be a problem. In Hibbing, Derek Hines, News 6.
What we had here today was just a constructive exchange of ideas on what kind of programs are already available, and we're able to go over some of the company's needs and try to do some brainstorming about ways in which those needs could be met.
We were returning to work at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We are here to report for work, and we are being unlawfully denied the opportunity to go to work.
Three, two, one. While public officials from
At this juncture, I think any comment is speculation. We put together what we felt was the best business deal. We still do. You know, there are other factors involved in the decision-making, and some of them don't have anything to do with the operations of a reservation center. And I'm sure, dependent upon the decision, we'll all be able to do a post-mortem on what that is.
It seems like there's been a bad taste in the Hibbings.
Blown Away, the summer's second big boom thriller so far, features dynamite acting by recent Academy Award winner Tommy Lee Jones and the father-son acting team of Lloyd and Jeff Bridges.
Jimmy, is that you? It's me. I'd ask you to give me a spin, but I'm scared to move. I'm ticking.
Tommy Lee Jones may be the film industry's most tight-lipped superstar, but even Tommy Lee found glee in taking home an Oscar as the U.S. Marshal on the trail of Harrison Ford in The Fugitive.
How many people in America, I wonder, have never written an Oscar acceptance speech, at least for the shower, you know? I mean, how many young girls in the shower have held up the shampoo bottle and thanked the faucet?
It was a thrill for you, though.
For me personally, a big thrill.
Yeah. For Jeff Bridges and his father, Lloyd, Blown Away represents a rare chance to share a movie screen.
Sea Hunt was the first. I was about 8 years old.
Yeah.
And I can remember, you know, him sitting me on his bed, going over all the lines and, you know, teaching me all the basics of acting.
How did you go over the lines together for this one?
Pretty much the same way.
It really worked, the relationship, our personal relationship of father and son, because, you know, I'm sure he thought, God, that's happening to my father, you know, my real father. Mm-hmm. So his emotions were quite true. What's the prognosis? Am I going to be blown to Kingdom Come?
I'm going to my bike.
Jimmy.
Get my tools.
I don't mean to question your talents, but I'm pretty well buggered here, wouldn't you say?
Don't move. That includes your tongue.
For NBC News, I'm Larry Ratliff.
It was the first time they ever gave an award to a children's magazine from the Yutney Reader, and so that was, it speaks a lot about the magazine. It's a magazine done by girls and for girls, but it has a very broad audience.
rusted metal, piles of ash, and rotting food, all remnants of what was once downtown ore. And while business owners say they do plan to rebuild, for now they're faced with the challenge of just trying to clean up the area. Each truckload of debris costing them $1,100.
They want everything sorted out. You know, anything with ash has to go to this place, and you know, the demolition part can go here. You know, it's a lot of messing around.
Rick Fransky is one of the owners of what was the Patton Cafe. Fire and insurance investigators had closed off the scene until early this week. Now, the work for Fransky and others whose livelihoods literally went up in smoke is just beginning. Fire insurance will help, but Fransky says it may only cover the costs of cleaning up. He and others will need financial help to rebuild. Enter the IRRB. Officials say they are offering their demolition crew for free and lining up important economic development assistance. The total on the monetary aid is not yet known, but neither is the total on damage estimates. In Orr, Stephanie Guadian, News 6.
Iznad stjenovih gora, do duboko, ispod Jadranskoga mora, i te teške rane, liječiti bi znam, ko bi mom srcu ljubav dao.
This particular site is a natural amphitheater. It has the stage aims out at a slowly rising level that then rises rather fast, and it is really a natural God-made amphitheater.
To drill through a mountain, do it in such a way that it's both environmentally and from a human perspective very, very safe, and be able to tunnel some 1,340 feet. That is a remarkable engineering feat, and I congratulate all involved.